Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play, and I'm glad you're here. I hope you like what you see, and I would love to know more about you and what you like to stitch and maybe what you're working on right now. And if you're a returning stitching friend, as always, thank you so much for being here and sharing cross stitch with me. It is so fun to just take this hobby and share it with people all over the world and know that we all like it. Whether we stitch the same things or not, it doesn't matter. It's the act of the cross stitch part and the making things that is what brings us together. So thank you for being here. Alrighty, I have 3 full finishes, one teeny tiny one that doesn't take much to talk about, and then 2 that I'm really pleased with. They're 2 scrapbook pages. They were long time coming in the sense of I wanted to get them done, and one I needed to get stitched and then done, and then the other one's been stitched for a while, and I want to show you that, and I'm happy with how it came out. If you are unfamiliar and you are new, I like to scrapbook a lot of my stitching because I just don't have space for it, and I can stitch whatever I want. Doesn't matter the style, the colors, just whatever tickles my fancy. And then I have it in scrapbooks. And I did mean to bring one over and forgot. I have 3 different size scrapbooks. If you are interested in learning more about my process, I do have a playlist. If you go to my playlist, there's one, I think it's called Scrapbooking Your Stitches or something like that. And I know a lot of people, when I show these, say, would you do a flip through? In December for Flossmas, I did a flip through of everything I had through that point, which was probably the middle of December. If you go to the playlist, it's probably the last of the videos, and it does a complete flip through of everything I had scrapbooked up to then. I did a double check with my fully finishes, and I think I've only got about 7 or 8 fully finished into scrapbooks pages at this point. So if I did another flip through, it would largely be very repetitive. What I might do at the end of the year is to pull out all of the ones that I did maybe this year to kind of, I don't know, we'll talk about it. And I'll ask you maybe what you'd like to see and what works for you kind of thing. But that's a 6-7 month problem down the road. And hopefully I'll have a lot more scrapbook pages finished by then. But let's start first with my trading card. We are currently at the point where it's almost time to ship the trading cards for the summer artist trading card swap that I am hosting. Here's one of the 3 that I've stitched. That back here is one of the ones I finished a long time ago. This is a Helen D pattern, and I stitched it on 20 count so I could get it to fit on the 2.5 by 3.5 parameters. And this was an easy finish. I just put my interfacing on the back. I measured my cutting down, and it fit just nicely where all I had to do was take a piece of, I wanted a hot pink sort of cardstock. For my Stampin' Up! Friends, it's Melon Mambo. And stuck it right on there, and it is good to go for when it comes time to trade. So I have 2 out of the 3 that I had stitched finished. Let me put this over here. I still have one. I've had multiple ideas on how I want to fully finish that one. Obviously, since I'm not sending it until we send out, I have a little bit more time than you would. Deadline is June 1st, which is tomorrow. It's the 31st, but no worries. You know, we've got a weekend here, and if sometime next week it ends up getting where you can't ship before then, just let me know. Reach out, let me know. I'll keep an eye out for it. No big deal. So that's not a problem. Okay, so that was the trading card. Super duper easy. What now? I have 2 scrapbook pages. Okay, so the first one, I've just recently finished the stitching. So you probably know if you have been around for a long time, and that's Cinnamon Stars. And I had ages ago scrapbooked Betsy's Autumn, and I've always wanted these 2. I thought of them as companion pieces, and I wanted them to put them in the scrapbook as a collection. So here it is. Here is Cinnamon Stars. It was stitched on a 18 count Honey Amber by Fabrics by Stephanie, which is the same exact fabric I used for Betsy's Autumn. In fact, it was the same piece. I just cut it in half. So this way they are exactly the same there. And then we have cardstock, patterned paper, a layer of cardstock, and washi tape. So I don't know which way they're gonna go, which one's gonna be first and which one's gonna be second. This is Betsy's Autumn. It's still in the page protector. I didn't take it out. I generally don't if I don't have to, so they don't get dinged up. But as you can see, the patterned paper is a little darker on Betsy's Autumn than Cinnamon Stars. I went through all, and I thought I had the same exact stuff for both, but I didn't. So it's close enough. I mean, they are different patterns, so if they are slightly different in that sense. And I debated on what to do, because if you notice, Betsy's Autumn has a stitched border around it, whereas Cinnamon Stars doesn't. So I did think about cropping Cinnamon Stars a little bit tighter and then putting a layer of cardstock as like the border, so to speak. But in the end, I decided not to. I liked the stitching on the, what did I say it was? Or whatever the fabric is. It's already gone out of my brain from Stephanie. And I just thought, I'm just going to keep it like that. They don't have to be 100% matchy-matchy, right? I mean, they're very close. It's the same style. So it's very clear that these are part of a two-part collection, which is what I wanted. Some of my pieces are bigger collections. This one is small, just the two-part collection. And that's what it looks like. And I am so thrilled with it. I won't generally know the names of the cardstocks. I might be able to backtrack and find if you are interested in the patterned paper, and then the washi tape. That might be out of its container as well. I think that was part of a fall sort of pack. I do have interfacing on the back of my cross stitch, which I do whenever I scrapbook. And like I said, I don't know, which one do you think should be, when you open up to that page of the scrapbook, it'll either go like that or it'll go like that. I think, and what's interesting, if you see the stars with the smoke and you see the leaves, they both go, maybe I'll do it this way, because this one is a little bit less substantial than Betsy. And so you start with something that's a little bit smaller into the big fuller piece. And you've got the leaves and the branches kind of flowing in the same direction. So that's kind of cool. So that might be actually the way I put it in the scrapbook. So yeah. So whenever I do maybe a full scrapbook flip through, now where to put these so they're okay. Let me do this. Then that will be really neat to be able to see them as you open up side by side on the scrapbook. I'm so excited. Now this other piece, I stitched this with Sarah Stitches. We had started it together and we cut down the pattern. We did not do the full pattern. And we both chose kind of out of the box fabrics for the pieces as well. And I loved how this was finished. I knew I wanted it to be a scrapbook page because again, you know, there's not a ton that I'm going to be putting up on the walls and so on and so forth. This is Blackbird Designs, and I believe it's called Midnight Watch. And if you were to see the original pattern, there's a whole big border. There's an alphabet underneath. There is so much more stitching to this. But what caught my attention was the cat and the moon, and obviously all of the little general pieces around it. And I said, that's what I want to stitch. And this is my first Blackbird, might be my only Blackbird so far. And I am so thrilled with it. I really I wanted to pick a fabric that the moon popped on, and I feel like I did that. And I did have to change one of the greens, I believe, because it faded in a little bit. So on this one, as with the other, it got interfacing on the back of it. Then I did a layer of black because I wanted to pull, remember when we're layering the cardstock, just pull something from your piece and that kind of grounds it. So a lot of times I find something that is darker, to be honest with you. That general layering part, unless everything's really light, you wouldn't want the contrast, then you'd go light. But because everything was dark here, the black was a perfect fit. I knew I wanted the base, I haven't written anything on the back yet, to be purple, to basically match the fabric. And I didn't know, I was looking for some sort of grungy, sort of orangish, not bright orange, but like orangish pattern paper. I mean, I certainly probably could have grunged something up, but you know, I might as well see what I have, right? And this was not on my radar originally. I was going to do a salad. And then I was flipping through and I saw this and I said, let's lay it on there. Now, as you can see, the pumpkins they're a pattern. It's a different pattern than this, but it's the light and dark of the oranges. And I thought, that's kind of neat. You've got the light and dark with the pattern, the lighter and dark with the pattern, and it almost tied it in really well. So I was super excited. Now, I originally had this piece, these borders slightly tighter, but I didn't like, I wanted to show some more of the purple, to tie in the purple, the final base with the fabric. And I almost did another layer of purple underneath this black, but I didn't like that. That was too much. So this border between my stitching and the black is a different, it's not much. I can tell because I've spent years paper crafting. It's about an eighth of an inch different, but you can do, and I mean, I could have even done it another and made it a 1/4 of an inch different. Different borders are kind of cool. It adds like a lot of interest or whatever. So don't be afraid to not have everything match. Sometimes I love matching the border sizes, but sometimes, you know, it's fun to do something a little different. Again, this was just a matter of finding the right supplies. So I had 2 pieces of cardstock and 1 piece of pattern paper. And here's my full finish done. This one now, this is an 8.5 by 11 piece. So this will go in the scrapbook that holds those sizes. This one right here is a 12 by 12. So I do have a scrapbook that holds the 12 by 12 pieces, different than this one. I mean, you can obviously see. I want to say my 8.5 by 11, they go in a scrapbook that's actually sized 9 by 12, just a little bit bigger. And I can put in 9 by 12s if I want and mix and match the sizes. Here, this will all be the big ones. And I figured it's great for bigger pieces like this. I mean, this is almost 12 inches one direction, right? Or when I want to scrapbook things and put pictures and family pictures and things like that, then it's great because I have that much more space. I was flipping through and I almost looked, I was getting ready to pull out, I almost pulled out the butterfly to do the butterfly farm pictures and stitch, but I just didn't get to that this week. Maybe next week, we'll see. So yeah, so that one's finished. Love it. I think this was a hashtag BBD Midnight Watch SAL, I think is what Sarah and I had used for our hashtag. So now I'll have to go back in, you know me, and showing updates on social media. Not great, but I should go back in, take a picture, and kind of just wrap up that for myself. I mean, obviously, if you're stitching it and you want to tag us and use that hashtag, go for it. But I'm super excited to get it done. The way I look at it with hashtags, they're very open-ended. Start when you want, finish when you want, join when you want. My pumpkin birthday stitch along, I mean, that's kind of forever, right? You know, because you can stitch out at any time of the year if you've got a piece, or, you know, do it just in October for when my birthday is, or however you want it. So that's how I feel about hashtags and stitch alongs and so on and so forth. I'm just thinking to myself, my pen is starting to go here. Sarah Stitches, I want to link her Flosstube. She's fun to listen to. Okay, so those are my full finishes. Yay! Let's move on to my stitching. Okie dokie. It's funny, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I thought there was more. I have 4 hashtags. The first 2 have hashtags, and I thought to myself, oh boy, this might be a week of hashtags, but then it kind of slowed down a little bit. Let me find the picture of this one. One of these days, I'll know exactly how these are all ordered. Part of it is I know when I start things, so I just need to see. Oh, you know what? I'm looking in the wrong album, so that's really not going to help. I created a file of all of my projects, hard copy or digital, in one file in my iPad. So it's really kind of cool now. When I go to talk to you or I look for challenges, I just flip through. Okay, this is Librarian Sampler, Librarian's House. Librarian's House Sampler. It'll be down in the description box below. I always mess this one up, the title of it. It's from Stone Street Stitch, though. That I do know. I am changing up the colors. I'm not going quite as olivey green as some of the pieces are. And I am modeling the house. Once I rip out, I'm still ripping, I know. And somebody did give me a really good suggestion for something at Fat Quarter Shop. I just haven't shopped recently, so I'll have to do that. The house I'm modeling after the Noah Webster house in Connecticut. So that's what the original looks like. And Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, and I started in, gosh, was this just last September? I think it was, for Sampler September, and we hashtagged it Librarian Sampler Sal. And Beth is doing the original colors, and it looks beautiful with the fabric that she's chosen. I went a little bit different direction, and I'm loving it. So let me show you, and then we'll talk. Okay. Look at that. I just think it's so pretty. And see, I can use neutrals. I promise, I do know how to use neutrals. So what's going on here? This is an 18 count Darling David from Those Missing Stitches. If you've been around for any amount of time, you know how much I love Lynn's fabrics, and this one is one of the most perfect neutrals in my mind. What did I do? I'm almost sure I have the color changes in the description box. If I've forgotten somehow or other, give me a little nudge so that I know that I need to fix the description box. And it's once it's in there, then it's easy. You just cut and paste. Description boxes usually take me all of 10 minutes to do. So I am happy to add as much information as possible. I know for a fact this outline border, I went with a deeper navy. So I brought in blues that are not in the original. That's a deep, deep navy, probably 939 if I had to guess. And then I went with more of a denim, probably one of the 930s, you know, 30, 31, 32, one of those. And where those flowers were a bit more, I think they were a bit more olivey. Yeah, I went with blue. So you're getting a little bit more. I didn't really try to do this, but with the red and the blue, it's a bit more patriotic-y. Not necessarily what I meant to do, but if you like that look, obviously that's an option. I changed the birds to more charcoal gray than what they probably were just a black, but I kind of wanted to go with nothing super stark. I pulled out some more, but that's just a disaster up there. The house will be the very last thing I stitch. As you can see, I'm going around. I did stitch this. This is a different green, as is those. Those are two different greens. This green right here is the green that you see. I haven't done a lot of it yet. There's a lot of, the border's gonna take a little bit. It's gonna take a minute to do all those little bits in the end, because you know I'll save it to the end. I stitched that here, and there's an exact same one on this side, and in between is another large flower that will be the reds and the blues, and there's birds on it. And so when I stitched this, I wasn't 100% sure. I knew I'd used that color before, obviously up here, but it kind of, when I first stitched it and it was kind of on its own, and I'm looking at it from a distance saying, oh, I don't know if that's going to work. But then I took a step back and I realized, so that's the bottom. The border's actually going to come right underneath there, and then there'll be a red heart right here, and there'll be red hearts on either side. Plus I'll have this same thing on this side and everything in it. And I think once it's done, I think it's going to be fine. I think it's all going to go. I mean, I like it up here in small bits. And so once I have the two bigger pieces there, it should be fine. I'm looking at the original, and I was trying to see if she changes color. Oh, you know what? She does. It's a slightly different kind of olivey. That's the border. That'll be navy, and I think the navy in that color, oh, that's going to look good. Okay. I feel even more better now about this. So yeah, this is so much fun to stitch. I am a big fan of Stone Street. I do sometimes have a tendency to change the colors a little bit. I loved the red is 221, and that was what drew me to the whole pattern. In fact, I can show you this right here. This flower right here is what caused me to buy the whole thing. And then it just snowballed from there. I could see just stitching this piece. That would be pretty, or this one. I like this one too. That one's, oh, you know what, there's, oh, that's just fuzz. Once I restitch, that'll be fine. That would be really pretty too, especially now that that is the blues and the reds almost exclusively. So again, if you wanted something patriotic, you could put like a little white in the middle if you wanted. Absolutely love it. I pull it out periodically just because it's fun to stitch. This time around, obviously I spend time pulling, and then I don't know if I had to finish anything else or if I just focused on this whole big piece right here, which is big enough, to be honest with you. I think I've got everything above. Everything besides the house up above is completely done. In the original, there is a date, 1794. I might do a date that coincides with Noah Webster for somehow or other, or I might just leave it blank. I mean, it's small enough. I probably could just, I'm going to leave it blank, see what it looks like. And if I like it, it's just going to stay the way it is. So that's what that is. And yeah, I haven't picked any of my projects for June challenges. I Spy is out. We'll talk about that in a bit. Acrostic for Magazine Monthly is out. There is no acrostic yet for Crafts and Books. I don't know if Beth is doing one. I'll keep an eye out. And then I have some other things going. So there's some things I want to do maybe later on today or early tomorrow morning as we start the month. And we'll talk about that more when we get to plans. Okay, next. I am showing you this full piece first because this is the full. This is Shores of Hawkrun Hollow, and it is by Carriage House. Yeah, Carriage House Samplings. Now, I have had this in my pile of things to stitch for years, and I'm not kidding. I really do mean years when I say this. 2021 probably. And even the fabric, I was thinking about, although I think it wasn't going to fit, and I think that's what stopped me. So here we talk, fast forward to 2024, and Nancy the Disorderly Stitcher, who recently just put out a video, super excited. I haven't watched it yet, can't wait. Let me write down Nancy's name so I know to link her. She said, let's do a stitch along and let's do Shores of Hawkrun Hollow. And she's doing it for leap year. So the idea is she's got this split up. She's doing the whole thing, and say this block for right here will take four months. So she split up this block and do a quarter of it in 4 months. And it works out perfectly. This one obviously would be 8 months. That in 4 years time, you'd get a finish on this piece. And I was like, oh, that's a really neat idea. And I've wanted to stitch it, but I didn't necessarily want to stitch all of it. And Megan, who also has a new video out, Georgia Girl Stitching, and also have to watch that. I'm so excited to hear about her new adventures, where she is. She had started stitching this, but she had broken it up and she had made it where it was only 5 blocks. And I asked her if it was okay. I loved what she did. Would she be okay with me breaking mine up into 5 blocks as well? And she said, of course. And so this is what hers looks like. And she was kind enough to send this to me so that I could see how she broke it up. And I am going, obviously, well, no, not obviously, I haven't shown it to you yet. I am doing the words here, light the way, come what may. I'm not going to do the words here or with the center. And I'm debating on, I love, 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 love this house right here, down here. So instead of this, I might put that house there. Or something else on top. I wasn't necessarily interested in following the words all the way through. But that's a future problem. I mean, I got a lot of stitching before I even get to that. I do know, though, I am taking out words except for, the first one with the lighthouse. So let me show you where I am. Now, Nancy has got, is it 4 months in already? She just showed that she finished the first block, I think, on Instagram. It's awesome. I'm not necessarily following that because my piece is much smaller. So I'm kind of just going with going with the wind blows, so to speak. I debated something like this. If you know me, you know I would do a blue fabric generally. And I think Megan's doing blue and it looks so good. But I had my mind, I was originally inspired by this, and that was back when I was still kind of following, although starting to veer off in my own for fabrics. But I did like this color. This is an 18 count pale ale from Dying for Cross Stitch. And so I went back and forth. And I almost restarted it, but I couldn't find something that necessarily just jumped at me and said, stitch it on this. Plus it has to be a big enough piece. I don't know what the size is. This is a nice, good size piece. Dying for Cross Stitch, she has nice, good size pieces of fat quarters. And Megan did change some of the colors, and I am using her color scheme. I know in hers, she's doing a lot of more variegated, but she did have DMC options that, you know, she was looking at originally. And Megan is a master of choosing colors. I really, really like what she does with colors. So they are different than, some of these are different than what the called for, and I absolutely love it. What did I do? I did more of this, certainly. All I had was, I had the L and I had the lighthouse. So I finished the word light, I put the in, I started the sun, I did all of the rocks, brought this down. Can't remember, that might have been already over where it is. But I did about 500 stitches on this, and I am really, really enjoying it. This obviously down here on this part is fairly full coverage, but that's fine. I do much bigger full coverages, so I'm okay with that. But I really like, now that I've taken a step back, continued with this and stitching, I really like how it's looking on this fabric. So I'm glad I kept it. Just something a little different than a lot of my other pieces. I don't know what the size of this one will be. Somebody asked me, well, what are you doing with those big pieces? Because they won't fit in a scrapbook. And you're right. If it's over 12 inches, it's not going to fit in a scrapbook. Those will just have to be I'll either just put them on boards of some sort and make leaners out of them, or maybe I'll frame them and hang them up. We'll see. I'm pretty much, really the only place I would put out as leaners or hanging up for the most part is up here upstairs in my crafting area. So that's a limited amount of space. Most of our house is downstairs, and that's set and decorated to both my taste and Mo's in a certain way. So I wouldn't be putting a lot of cross stitch down there. In fact, I won't be putting really any. So I have to be cognizant of that to a certain degree, and I don't have place to store. So I can't be getting a ton of seasonal stuff, putting it out for Christmas and then storing it and then taking the next holiday and having, say, 10 different holidays and rotating. I don't have the space for it. I'd be afraid to put it in the attic. I cannot crawl down in the crawl space. Ours is a true crawl space. There is no like walking into it. You have to jump from the ground into the well and then literally crawl through. Not happening. So, yes, the bigger pieces will have to be, I'll have to think about them a little bit more when they get finished, type of thing. Okay, next. I did tell you that I was aiming for a finish, possibly a full finish on this. I got the stitched finish. If you are not here last week, it was the Spring Blessings I was working on. All 4 are now done. This is Lila Studio, and here it is. This is done on an 18 count Nantucket sky. Oh, and if you're interested, Shores of Hawk Run Hollow, the hashtag is Shores HRH 2024 SAL. Okay, back to this. Nantucket Sky, I thought it was perfect for these colors. The summer one is also stitched in Nantucket Sky, which I think the yellow pops so nicely against. Maybe when I get this one fully finished, I'll pull them both out. I did try. I pulled out all my felts that I might match. I was looking at some of the blues to kind of tie in the bird, but the fabric being blue, putting it on blue, I wasn't loving it, to be honest with you. The colors weren't jiving right. And so then I was kind of looking at, maybe a peach. This red is not straight red. It's I'm not even sure what I'd call it. So I need to find something that's either peachy or along the lines of one of the colors in the flower. And so I do need to do some felt shopping, I think, because I pulled out a bunch and nothing was jumping out at me. And in fact, a lot of it was clashing. So it wasn't even like I could settle on a piece of felt. So once I get the felt for this, this is an easy, easy finish. It's a square finish as an ornament kind of hanger. And then, yeah, maybe I'll even show you all 4 of them at that point. This would also be neat. If you were scrapbooking, I would finish, if I was going to do it in a scrapbook, I would finish all 4 and I'd put them on one page by, you know, in a 1, 2, 3, 4 block, and you'd have all of the seasonal birds right there. I think that would be really nice too. I do have some hooks underneath my shelves, so I haven't been making some things that I can hang out, and I can put them in my, I have a not the Calyx, what are the drawers units called from IKEA? That might be Alex, I'm not sure. I have a spot, a drawer that is for all of those hanging sort of little things. So that's okay. But I thinking about it now, that would look great as a scrapbook and be a 1-page piece, but all the 4 seasons. And they are essentially all the same size. So that could be very even and a nice little even block. I would probably do it on a rectangle page. So more of like an 8.5 by 11. Because they are rectangle. I think that would look great. So, you know, if that was something and you don't have a place to hang it or lean it or frame it or whatever, they would be good as a set in the book. Alrighty. Now, for June, my full coverage focus was Bottled Beauty. Oops, I've just gone through about 4 different pieces. There we go. Bottled Beauty. And this is from, oh boy, I've just blanked out. Cross Stitch for Everyone. It'll be down below is who charted it. And the artwork is by Fun Digital. So I spent the entire month of May working on this essentially every day. It averaged out to 100 a day. And actually, I knew today I probably wouldn't stitch on it. So I did double stitching yesterday. So that one is done completely. Let me show you first before I give you the numbers, because I do have the numbers. That's where it ended up. So it got quite a bit. It got 3,387 stitches from a little bit each day. And it's not a huge piece. So it started at 9.75% complete. And when I finished it yesterday, it was 15.15%. So I put in 5.4% over the course of the month. Obviously, bigger pieces wouldn't have a 5% rate of finish, but this one, I'd say this one's probably about 65 to 70,000 stitches. So it's smaller than a lot of my other pieces. This is done on an 18 count white aida, 2 strands over 1, full cross. So that's what it'll end up looking like. So now this one will go away and I will pull out something else. Actually, I've pulled out something. I think I'm done with what I was going to do on that one, and then I know the next one coming out. And I'm changing up the monthly focus just a little bit. And when we get to plans, you kind of already know what it is if you've been around. Okay, next, I was on my very last I Spy prompt, and it was remind you of your mom or a mother figure. And, okay, I started this one. Oh, there it is. It just looks different because it's on white. It's shown on white, not what I'm doing. This is Ireland. My mom is from Ireland, and it is from Vlada XStich. I'm not stitching the words in the end. I'll just stitch this piece. And hopefully I can maybe, this one I think will be in the scrapbook, and I would like to have, I don't know if there's any old pictures from when I was a kid in Ireland. That would be a lot of fun to put those around, actually, because we used to go, when I was young, Mom and I would go probably 6 weeks in the summer to visit my grandmother before she passed. So there we go. Now this one I've had a little bit of, you know, I've hemmed and I've hawed. I was fine with up top here, but then when we came in on the green, and let me show you, that's what it looks like. And when I pulled out the charted colors, I was just a little concerned because the charted colors felt really what's the word? Not neon. That's the wrong term. Let me see. I think this is the one that got me the most, 166. And I was just not sure about that color. So I ended up, some of the other called for ones, let me just pull them out for a minute here, are these. And I was originally going to change all of them, to be honest with you, because I wasn't sure. But when I pulled out this, which is a little bit neon, no, this, which is a little bit neon, and I went with, because there's 4 different shades here. And if you have, what's really interesting is 3 of the 4, if you have the DMC book, you can tell they're right in the same family, right near each other. So instead, I'm going to use these 4. And so this one is not as bright. It's along the same family as these, a little bit different, not as much yellow tone. And I think that'll look good. I did say, let's start with a few of the colors, and those are called for. I almost switched, and I don't think I can reach, let's see here. Do you know this row of the 700s? You know, you have 700, 701, you know, 702, 703, whatever. I was thinking about those because those would be nice green, you know, but the flowers at the bottom are these pinks. And I felt like these pinks with these greens were a little bit too much. It was almost like a Christmas pink and green kind of look. And I wanted to keep those pinks, so these greens didn't quite work then. Let me just put these DMCs back in their drawers. This is my DMC container if you're new. And yes, I do have a, if you go to my craft room organization playlist, I have a very short video talking about this set of units. These are all, there's, each of these is a separate unit. And what I've done with them, where I've gotten them, what they are. So I went back to the original, and I think these pinks will look much better, obviously, with those. So I reserve the right, obviously, if I'm not loving it, because this whole section is green, right? So you've got to love those colors. If something's not working right, maybe I'll replace one, or I don't think I need to replace them all. I just need to be thoughtful in how I'm doing it. And I will most definitely pull out the DMC book. If you don't have that and you do like to, where is it? Let me grab it. And you do like to kind of play around and change colors, this is the DMC with the pieces of DMC. It's invaluable. I use it quite a bit, and I would recommend it. But I like playing around with that and using that if I need to kind of change things up. This is 18 count. What is this? This is Champagne by Hand Dyed by Rolanda. And it's a very pale yellow. I was going to say beige, but no, there's a yellow tinge to it. And obviously that's what I wanted with these colors. So that was why I chose that. So that's where that one is. And now I'm feeling better. You know, this one, I don't think got any work this year. Oh no, it did a little bit, but very little, because I was getting closer and closer to the green. And I was really was second guessing and third guessing and the whole bit with myself. And so I kept putting it off. So I'm glad that I fulfilled that prompt for I Spy in May. And now that I've kind of started the green, it'll go. My mom's birthday is in June, so I'll work on that probably again. Alrighty. This was the last for the last week of May, so I did want to work a little bit more on May's Lily of the Valley Cottage Garden samplings. And this is where I ended up the month with. I finished the month. So this one will go away at this point. I did pretty good. I've got all of the border finished. And then I also got some of this. And all the words are done. There's not a lot of stitching. So the flowers themselves aren't too bad. Once I get all of the, I'll do all of the outline part of it first. And then I'll do the flowers. But I think they're going to go quick. And I have to do a little bit more here. I think I might have to change, or I did change some of the flower here because the color, I don't know if the color was going with the fabric very well. And then I have a little bird in its nest up here. I messed up here. So I was going to do the snail, but unfortunately, I don't know how to count off of that. because I really messed it up. This is 18 count Nantucket Sky. Oh, look at that. This is why I love outdoor things with this. It's obviously, it's looking stronger in the camera, but you can notice it in real life, but it's really pleasing to me to look at in real life. By Fabrics by Stephanie. And words are all done, and I did just use one color floss on that rather than switching. So this one will either get used for prompts during the rest of the year, or it'll be on the list to be for a finish next year. Easily could get that finished next May. So when I finished whatever okay, with full coverage, you know I have the one piece that I do all month, and then I also pick another piece that I stitch about 1,000 stitches on. So I rotate through, and this one I had started it this year, the beginning of the year, and then it hadn't gotten any more work. Now it is paper. I have no idea how or what to do with making this one in Pattern Keeper. So I'm giving myself, instead of 1,000 stitches, I gave myself 500. So I have finished the 500 requirement for this. Requirement, like it's a homework. It's, you know what I mean, suggestion, the 500 stitch suggestion. So this is called Red Mailbox, and it is by Luca S. Or from Luca S. I don't know. I didn't do a deep dive to find out if there is a designer listed as well. Artist, I should say. So that's my little bit. But yes, that's 500 more stitches. It obviously goes a lot slower because I am doing it with paper. And I'm using the kit fabric. It's a 16 count white Aida. It's actually not that bad. I stitch in hand. So to me, honestly, anything that's just not a super floppy Aida works just fine for me. And I do love all the different pinks and purples and some beiges in there. There are some spots, I skipped some spots just because I wanted to wait until I had that color more, and then I'll jump around with it. I think there's a white in some of these. So I just went with some of the colors that had a bigger. Now, this is my first Luca S. I found it interesting. I mean, the chart was this big, long piece. So I always make working copies of paper, and then I cross off. It was a little bit challenging to do working copies because my copier obviously is 8.5 by 11. So I had to finagle it for a little bit. But, you know, it's working okay. I think there's a few spots that I might have to look at the original because I'm not 100% sure I really did do it properly. But the one thing I don't know about Luca S, I don't know what floss that is. Is it DMC? I don't even know how to check. Like this is the first kit I have ever done that's like a full coverage kit. So I'm, of course, afraid I'm going to run out of floss. I mean, I've just started and I'm already afraid I'm going to run out of floss. I'm pretty good about not being wasteful. I'm doing the 2 strands like they said, and, you know, going along with that. But I have no idea with Luca S. Do they give you a good amount of floss? Do they use a certain type? Is it their own, or is it like a DMC kind of thing, or Anchor or whatever? I don't even know how I'd find out if their symbols are similar or what. But anything you can tell me about Luca S, I would love to know. So far, I mean, there's not a lot to it, but I am enjoying stitching it. I think it's a pretty picture. And, you know, I was kind of interested to try like a kit kind of thing. It's nicely, you know, everything is nicely in these and separated. So that was good and easy. I figured if I was going to start one, I wanted it where they were separated like that, so that I wouldn't have to jump into like separating them somehow or other. That might be enough to set me aside. And for the most part, these are all just 2 strands. So that's also nice because that way I don't have to worry about multiple sizes of strands. Okay, then we got into Memorial Day weekend, and I have 3 different pieces that I pulled out during Memorial Day weekend just to get some more. I don't have a ton of what you'd consider patriotic, but I do have a little bit. And this one was started, this needs to be finished this year. And so I'm hoping come this July it is. This was started in July of 2020. I know, I mean, really. It is Long May She Wave by Stitching with the Housewives. When I started it, I was still kind of new to the idea of I can make things more my own. So there was the thought that I'd be stitching all of it. Although then I switched because I didn't want to stitch the the chicken, and there's actually 2 chickens. So I had jumped in making it my own, especially with this, because I rearranged the flowers. This one's just not there. And then, you know, it sat because there was so much to it. But now I'm almost done, actually, because I've pulled back quite a bit. I think you kind of know me by now. I am a less is more, definitely kind of individual. I like simple when it comes to decoration and patterns and so on and so forth. And I'm enjoying what I'm doing with this. So you can see, you know, it doesn't matter that there's no chicken there. I mean, that's fine space-wise. And I changed that flower, added another flower, so you wouldn't even know that there was one missing there. There's a bunch of little things that I don't know if they're supposed to be bees or what. I had a couple in there and I wasn't loving it, so I pulled them out. I didn't put the bunting. It's just the one thing, and this was started, so I couldn't change it at this point. This is what the Classic Colorworks is. This is the DMC alternative. It's not even close. If I had realized that, I would have pulled my own DMC and made this truck a little bit more denim-y like it is here. I don't mind it, but I would have liked it to kind of move in with more of the denim-y colors, but that's fine. Pulled out here. I'm not doing the other flag here. You know, we've got the one focus and one small. We don't need a third. So I am now filling in the flowers here. And the blue flowers I'm fully filling in rather than making them striped. I just kind of like that look a little bit better. And so I've got that to still do, fill in a little bit of the greenery there, and then fill in the flowers here, and then this will be done. So my goal hopefully is by July, sometime in July, I'm not going to say July 4th, but by the end of July 2024, we'll have a finish on this. This is done on an 18 count. It's navy, and it's actually a Charles Craft, because when I first tried buying hand-dyed fabrics, I bought Charles Craft. I didn't know the difference, and it was from Garibaldis on Etsy. So there you go. So that was the first of the 3 that I pulled out for the holiday weekend. And I'm trying to think, when we talk about I Spy, I'll do the extra video on that. This is one that might get some work there, or if not, it'll definitely in July be like my stitch a day, kind of 100 stitches a day kind of thing. Okay, next one. I don't have shopping and stuff, so I know the video with the stitching is going long, but we don't have on the other end of the video. My video is going to be literally almost an hour of stitching. Okay, so next, whoops, that's not what I want to do. This was another hashtagged piece. Oh, there it is. And this one started in the end, the stitch along started at the end of January. And it was called hashtag 2024 Quaker Flag Sal. And there are people all over the world stitching Quaker flags. And these flags are from Vivsters on Etsy. And I, of course, chose the US one. And, oh boy, there's a lot of stitching in this. I think I'm going to, and I'm going to branch out. You know me, I jump all over the place. But I'm going to try to get as much of these done, because these are full coverage. And these are probably 700-800 stitches each one. These then, once you have the border, you're just doing the motif, and they will go faster. You think, okay, I've got fill-in. No problem. That'll take all of 2 minutes. Yeah, no, not quite. Look at this fabric. Oh, I love this. This is 18 count. Again, it is from Lynn from Those Missing Stitches. Not a surprise. Brave Boromir. Look at the color. It's like a bluish gray, which is just, that's showing bluer. It's more gray in person and not as stark, but there is modeling. It is just fabulous. This here, the motif needed to be finished. There was quite a bit of fill-in on this motif, and then I started doing the border on this. I may end up at one point doing a lot of these and stitching all of the squares, and then, you know, picking and choosing as I go kind of thing. I think that would be kind of cool too. And switching. I don't have my red chosen. The red, did I use the blue she called for? I think I did. The red she called for, I think it was 3777. And I wasn't 100% jazzed on that. I did pull out 8/16. I don't know. I think I might need to go redder than that, a little brighter. So I got to pull out my book, and then I'll pull out a bunch and see, especially on the fabric, right? I mean, it'll look different on different fabrics. I might do a little test stitch somewhere at the bottom and see what that color looks like. But I'm thinking that might still be a little bit too almost brownish red for what I want. If you would like to see the Canadian flag, I'm going to write down Karen. Karen, the Stitching Owl, is stitching the Canadian flag, and she is zipping. I love seeing her progress on it. She has a focus for when she'd like to get it finished. I'm just working whenever I want to work on it, kind of thing. It'll get work next month, of course, during July. You can see this big piece of fabric. It's not that big, but it is pretty big, actually. This is 18 count, of course. So if I'd done it on smaller, it would have been more manageable, but I just love this fabric, so I wanted to do it on this. So yeah, so I got a good chunk of stitching in, because like I said, the fill-in, I had half of that to do. Now, there are a few places where there's still a few mistakes, kind of thing, but like everything else, these are symmetrical very often, so it's easy to catch them. Because I don't know about you, but when I do a piece, I stitch a piece that's symmetrical, I not only look at the pattern, but I actually go off of what I've already stitched. So if something is not right, I generally pick it up pretty quick. Yesterday, and it's not in this week's stitching, it's for next week, that happened to me where I had made a mistake. Actually, it wasn't the designer's fault. I had made the mistake and then had forgotten about it, and then when I was stitching, I found it again because I was trying to mirror the symmetrical pieces, and so I was able to make the same mistake purposely to make everything look even. So then I actually brought this with me. Mo wanted to practice on Memorial Day. It was quiet, so Mo wanted to practice his pickleball serve because he really likes everything about his pickleball game except his serve. I guess he just can't get the hang of it. So it was probably like 7 o'clock on Monday night. We had a quiet weekend. It was just the two of us all weekend. And he's like, I'm going to go do the serve. We had nothing going on. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to come with you. It's beautiful out. I'm going to sit in the car. I mean, I could have gone on, I could have gone on one of like there's tables and chairs, but our car is pretty comfortable for stitching. And this one was easy enough to do, especially we have a minivan. Hopefully, I'm second kid, almost done with college. Then I can get rid of the minivan that I've had. Well, this is the second, but I've had a minivan for almost 23 years. It's actually quite comfortable for stitching. So I said, I'll just stay in the car. I had the windows open. There was a nice breeze. It was beautiful. And I pulled out Talk to Me Goose. Because technically, I mean, obviously, he's a movie character, but Goose did die in duty, so to speak, in the line of duty. So Memorial Day stitching. And I wanted to get this one done. And again, obviously, movie character, but I wanted something easy for the car, and I tied it into Memorial Day that way. So, and I was very pleased with what I got. I had the words and the half of the sunglass filled in, and the glass is done. I got all of the lines, and I got the little plane. So the only thing left on this is filling this in. And that will be a perfect Zoom sort of piece, right? Because literally all I'm doing is filling it in. I did pull out, because, I do have some that I'm playing around with, variegated flosses. I pulled out Planetarium from Roxy Floss, and I am using that on this piece. And so that's what it looks like. And this fabric, again, those missing stitches, this is Sensitive Sylvie. Let me open it up. Look at how beautiful, and look how much extra I'm going to have. Oh, I love this. I also found, I was ironing this morning. Well, I was ironing this part. I clearly didn't iron the whole piece. I was ironing it this morning, and I was thinking, gosh, her Aida is really lovely to handle. It's solid, you know. I mean, I think you know by now, I'm not a huge fan of Picture This Plus. Stitching in hand, it's floppy, it's very thin, and it's just not my jam. I have stitched on it, and I will if I need a certain color or whatever, but this, it's pliable, but it's got solid heft to it, and it's so comfortable to stitch in hand. Really love her aidas. So that's where I got. Super excited. I mean, obviously this is a quick stitch. I'm just going to hold off until I do it on like a Zoom or Zooms, depending on, that's a lot of stitching. I did this one on a Zoom and it was a lot of stitching. So that could be done early or it could take a little bit longer, but that's exciting. I'm glad to be almost done with that. And that was a perfect car stitch because it was small and one color. And he has been obsessed with working on his serve this week, and he's really happy. So I think he's excited tomorrow to go to social play so he can actually do the playing and try out the serve now that he's practiced it a gazillion times. Alrighty, 2 more. Where is this other one? Oh, there it is. So the very last of the stitch alongs that I worked on this week is the hashtag Year of the Dragonsal. And you know, this year is the Year of the Dragon, and so all of us are pulling out dragon pieces. And this one is 2x2 stitch art. And I just call it Celtic Dragon. I don't know if there's an official name or if it just has an Etsy name. And I am stitching, you're currently going to see here, that's going to be in one variegated color. I'm going to do this in a second variegated color. Once that's done, I will reevaluate if I do the border. If I do the border, I'm just going to do it in a deep, like a 939 DMC. Something really, really deep and dark. That's as deep navy as you can get. But let me show you where I am. Oh, I did some good progress on this. This one is 18 count Phoenix from Bestitch Me. And I am so pleased that I went with that. So this is the part that this is how much I've gotten done. And I got some all over here. All of this is done coming down around here. So there's some rows here of what similar to this. And then there's the section down here. But I have to say I am really pleased with how this is coming along. This is in Pattern Keeper, so that I was able to get it in there. Originally I didn't. Which has made it easier. It's the one color I'm using right now, Roxy Floss, She's So Blue. And this is kind of like my nod to Fourth Wing. So like I said, I will do, and I'll use the planetarium that you saw with Talk to Me Goose. I'm going to use planetarium for the outer part of her, and then I will make a decision whether or not she needs the border or not. We'll see. That one is going to be, I'll do all of that before I do the outer border. And I am, of course, after being gifted this beautiful dragon bag, let me show you the inside. It is solidly in that as well. So I love using that. All right, the very last piece was the piece that was part of my 4-piece rotation, and that is Black Vintage Sampler by Owl Forest Embroidery. And I am definitely coming along. This was started as a New Year, New Start in 2023, and it will be finished this year at some point. And there it is. I have to show you up here first. That's the full part of it. 18 count Rainy Day from Bestitch Me. I am so pleased with this color. I love it on this. And I'm using Anchor Black as opposed to Black 310 DMC. The only thing up here that's not done is this side of the border. Excuse me. I did end up, so many of you, and it was one of those kind of moments, flip it over, Laura, because I was finding I stitch lefty, and so starting in the upper left corner is actually really helpful for me because, you know, I'm holding this all in the right hand. But then when I get here, it's flopping, right? So someone said, Laura, just flip it over. And that was just an epiphany of sorts. This does, everything is done. It's all, it does match up. So we're good with that. That was a moment of trepidation when I got to that part because I was going to fudge it at that point. There was no way I was going to try to figure out what to do there. So what did I do? I worked down here at the bottom. Let me fold this over. And my focus was mainly, it was a combination. So you can see here, I'm starting to fill in these flowers. All of them will have a 4 flower kind of middle, which I'll do at the end. So I've been working my way up this way doing that. And I've been working on this giant ship right here as well. What I've been doing is doing a strand here and then doing this. I actually find the ship more fun than the border part, but I don't want to have nothing but border after all, you know, the entire length, because this is a long piece. Yes, this will have to be framed or just put over some sort of board. This is too long to go in the scrapbook. And then I'll just, at the very end, I'll go back. I have some back stitching to do, but not much. But except for the border, I think, and the back stitching, everything up to this 2/3 is completely stitched. So I know somebody had suggested I should make this one my 100 stitches a day piece. And I think that will happen one of these months. It's not this month because there is already a plan. So for now, it will stay in the rotation. So each month it's gotten at least 500 stitches because I rotate each piece. Next week Spring Quaker is going to get pulled out. So that will have the 500 stitches next week. And that's been good. It's been a good way to get this moving along and get some progress. So that is my stitching for the week. Yay! So what are my plans coming up? Well, we are jumping into a new month. Can you believe it is June? I like to do challenges. I think you've realized that by now. And I started a challenge of my own. So that was super exciting. And then I do other challenges as well from other people. And so I started an I Spy challenge earlier this year. I can look back. I have a book that all my challenges are in here, and then I can decorate and so on and so forth. The first I Spy, was definitely not January. That had Bringo, which was pretty intense anyway. February. So February was the first I Spy challenge. So here's my book so far. I haven't decorated my June cover page yet. I don't know what I'm doing yet for that. I have all of my prompts. You can see I haven't picked anything yet. When they get done, they get colored in. So if I go back to May, everything has been completed and I finished. I finished I Spy. I finished the Crafts and Books acrostic. And I finished the Magazine Monthly acrostic. And those were the main challenges I did this past month. So I Spy, I am going to go through my list, pick my pieces. Hopefully this weekend I will film a choose your pieces for your challenges video like I did last month. I got several of you said that you did enjoy watching it. So I enjoyed it because it made me choose and then it got me more efficient. So I'm happy to do that. I'll do that. Then Crow Stitcher. I'm sorry about that. I think it's Crow Stitcher. I'm going to write down. They are doing a hashtag June dog. Oh, that's the cover page for Forced. Where is it? They're doing a June dog hashtag, which is basically stitch any long dog you want or multiples or whatever during the month of June. So instead of doing a full coverage focus for June, I am going to stitch on my fish and chips every single day. This is where I'm starting at. It's not that far along, so it's got a ways. I don't anticipate a finish by the end of this month, but I think I could get, 3,000 stitches basically. I could get a good chunk done. I'm stitching this with white floche if you're wondering. So that will be my focus instead of a full coverage. I will still do the full coverage rotations of 1,000, move on to the next one, because I don't want to let those go. I do potentially have a full coverage start, at least one, maybe two, something came up. So we'll see for this month. So that's a definite, that's getting stitched on. Then I am pulling out my June's Honeysuckle, and I'll show you where I'm starting there. it needs work. I don't anticipate getting a finish in June, but that's where it is. I don't remember the fabric on this one. I don't know if this might be Nantucket Sky. Is it? No, it's called Ice Crystals by Fabrics by Stephanie. I got lots to do on that one. So I'll get as far as I can through this month. And then again, maybe it gets done later on in the year, or it'll be a June 2025 finish. So there's that for. Then I have some starts. So Chris, Jan, and Jan, yes, are starting this on June 2nd. And this is Wings of Change by Silver Creek Samplers. And I did some hashtag checking on Instagram because, you know, hashtags work so well, but we hashtag everything anyway. So this is a Sunday start. And I think when I looked at it, hashtag Butterfly Wings Sal was available. So that's what we will use. And that's the fabric. I'm going to stitch that on. So that's starting on Sunday. If you'd like to join us, you are more than welcome. I love this one. I love the saying, and I just love the piece of it. So I am excited to get that started. Then at some point in the month, to celebrate diversity and uniqueness, uniqueness of others from Yasmin. Yasmin's Made with Love. I am starting that. And what fabric am I using? It's another blue. It's, I don't know where it is. It's similar to this, but I don't think it's this one. I don't know what it did with it. It's around here somewhere. So that one will get started hopefully sometime. Oh, it's not a blue. We talked about this. I'm so silly sometimes. It's not blue because the peacock is blue. This is what I'm starting that on. And so I'm super excited to get that going. So that will be sometime this month as well. I seem to front end the month with my starts. I don't know if the rest of you do that as well. So this one could be started, say, June 6th for all I know. I don't know. Throwing out a date there. Because I just, in the beginning of the month, I'm so excited for starts. And then I kind of taper off because, you know, you can only start so many things, right? But I feel I'm doing pretty good on finishes. So, and you know, I mean, I'm not, it doesn't give me any angst whatsoever. This one right here, I plan on starting in June, I think, for the first day of summer. So Carolyn's Balloon Summer by Jan Hicks. I'm currently stitching on spring. I think I'll pull that out this week, try to get that a little bit farther. And I am debating on, I have to floss toss. This is what I stitched winter on. And autumn and spring are on the same fabrics. So I'm going to see, I'm looking at a couple of the blues. They could be an issue on this. So I might have to deepen them up. Maybe I make them a little bit more navy. Because again, 4-piece collection, and I would love to have the cohesiveness of 2 seasons in one fabric, 2 seasons in the other matching fabric. It would obviously be a two double page spread, but as you turn the page, you'd get that cohesiveness. So those are my ideas for, oh, and then the full coverage piece, Beth watches, and she said she would start this with me. And where are my pictures? Oh, they're there. And let's see which folder. I didn't put it in that folder. It's in this folder. It is, I think it's called Dance at Midnight, and it's from Sunflower Stitches. It's designed by Rose Kahn, and it's actually her kind of fan art homage to, is it Reese and Farah? I never can say the names right. If I said it wrong, usually I Google before, and I forgot to Google. But that's her, and she has said it's kind of like a fan art sort of thing. So that, I think, is getting started at some point. That is full coverage. It'll be my first Sunflower Stitches. I did end up getting a few others, the fairy tale snippet ones. So I'm excited to try another charting company. So that is all for June, plus whatever. I know my mom's birthday is June 4th, so I will probably pull out Ireland again on that day, and we'll go from there, whatever I spy works. And then just to think ahead, in the just Cross Stitch magazine, the summer one, Land That I Love. I'm starting that on July 4th, if you'd like to start it. And the hashtag is JCS Land That I Love, SAL. Stitch along. So the start's July 4th, end date's whenever. You know, I mean, it is full coverage. It's 140 by 107, so it's not humongous. It's basically a 2-page, you know, the pattern is basically that, those 2 pages. So I'm going to see, is it possible to take PDF pictures of these and upload them to Pattern Keeper? If you know, please let me know. I have no idea how to do the PDF pictures. That's Mo's job. So I'd be like, Mo, do this for me. And then once I put them in Dropbox, then I could try to upload them to Pattern Keeper. But if you're thinking ahead and you'd like to join us, that's happening on July 4th. And then, of course, I will go back to concentrating on some of the other, we'll finish that in July, finish Long May She Wave, work on my Quaker flag, and so on and so forth. So that's it. Plans in a nutshell with that. Happy Mail. The Happy Mail I have is actually tied to the giveaway coming up. So I'll talk about that in 1 minute. I have no shopping. I do have Fabric of the Month coming from Bestitch Me and Under the Sea Fabrics. I got shipping notices for both for this month of May. They haven't arrived yet. So that'll probably be something I show you in next week's video. Let's talk giveaways. So, and I tell you, Gmail, interesting. I wasn't sure I'd heard from my giveaway winner, but then when I looked at my spam, her response and everything was in my spam folder on Gmail. And there was no reason with what she said. I don't get it. So if you do send me something, realize on Facebook, sometimes I don't always know it's there because it's kind of funny how it notifies me. And on Gmail, sometimes it comes to me and sometimes it's in spam. Jill, I did get your email though. Jill, I will reach out to you. I'd like to respond to your email. So it's coming. I just have to kind of sit down and write it. But this week's giveaway was Blackberry Lane Designs Spirit of America in the theme of Patriotic. And I pulled a winner, and the winner is Felice-HC2DH. I don't know, Felice, if that's second part is you or if it's a YouTube thing. But congratulations. If you could get me your address, then I will get this out to you. Okay, so what is the giveaway this week? Christina reached out to me. Christina is, I've just blanked on her Flosstube. It will be linked down below. She has an Etsy shop. It's called Sweet Violet Stitch Company. And she stitches, her Flosstube is so much fun. She stitches little pieces, but humongous, full coverage and not. I want to say the birth sampler for her daughter that she just finished was a long dog. It's phenomenal. I love her stitching. So anyway, she had recently, this year, I think, started a company of designing different charts. And I actually own this one. And I have an idea of how I want to stitch it. This, all you need is love. But I can't translate that from my brain to reality. So I'm still working on that. That's why you haven't seen it. And she's got some different seasonal ones. And she's got this beautiful, look at this, 'Tis the Season. Of course, I'm showing you all these other ones. But she recently announced that she is charting full coverage pieces. She likes to stitch full coverage. And I immediately liked one of them. And I was like, oh, I want to buy one. And I just, I put the likes on Etsy and then I kind of forget about it. But I always have them and I check and so on and so forth. So Christina reached out to me and said, I really appreciate all your support. I'd love to send you a chart. And so I said, well, that's very nice of you. I had one that, now I went back and forth between what I had favorited, but the one that, and you're not going to be surprised in the least, the one that kept drawing me in is called Overlooking Sunset Cove. So it's charted by, Sweet Violet Stitch Company. You'd think I'd know because she has her logo there. And the artwork is by the Wild Sunflower. Isn't that beautiful? I absolutely love it. So I told her my choice. She sent it to me. I was curious to see. I put it in Pattern Keeper. It went in like a dream. I'm sure markup will be the same for those who use markup. But literally, I took it from my Dropbox. I put it into Pattern Keeper. 20 seconds later, it was all in. So it's charted beautifully for Pattern Keeper. So anyway, she had said, not only would I like to gift you one, but I'd like to do a giveaway and offer to, one of your stitching friends here that like to stitch full coverage. So I'm going to show you, look at this cute little girl for Halloween. That one was up there. Look at the beautiful colors here of nature. The colors and the artists are just so amazing. This one caught my attention, kind of the old style, like the old style 60s Vans. It's called Groovy Getaway, and I like those colors. There's some really fun ones. There's a library, and now they're big, they're full coverage. So definitely be ready to stitch full coverage if you're going to stitch. This Paris one is kind of neat too. But what I want you to do is, because your company is Sweet Violet Stitch Co., I want you to use the word violet, V-I-O-L-E-T, in your comment anywhere, and I will pick a name. Christina said all she needs is your email. You're going to tell, whoever wins, let me know what you want, and she will email it right to you. Look at this bird one too. This was also, look at how pretty that is. Really, really pretty. Congratulations, Christina. Charting full coverage, no joke. I looked at the pattern once it was in Pattern Keeper real quick. It looks fantastic. I mean, obviously it's in Pattern Keeper, but it still looks easy to read, and I'm really excited to give that a go. So that's where I said I may have a second full coverage start. We'll see. But if you would like to try one of Christina's charts, then just say the word violet, and she's very easy to work with, and I'm super excited for her and for us as a new charting company to try some full coverages. Alrighty, so that is all of the stitching stuff. If you are checking out at this point, it's long enough, right? Thank goodness I didn't have shopping. Then thank you so much for being here if you don't care about life stuff. And I will see you next week. So life, we'll do it real quick. We've been rolling along. I mean, I can't believe May is over today, right? So this past weekend, Memorial Day weekend, I kind of mentioned it was quiet, which was really nice. It was mowing myself all weekend. Beautiful weather this weekend. Saturday, we decided to brave going down to Ocean City, Maryland, because now the season started, and you generally don't go south once the season starts because traffic picks up. But our favorite, all-time favorite Thai restaurant is in Ocean City, Maryland. And so Saturday morning, of course, Mo was playing pickleball. Saturday afternoon, we're like, well, what are we going to do? And, we said, you know what? It's a beautiful day. We'll just go into it thinking there's going to be traffic. We're just going for a drive, having a good meal, and then coming back up, there's nothing wrong with a beautiful drive along. One part of Route 1, as you go from Delaware to Maryland, you've got bay on one side and beach on the other, and you've got this small strip of land. And so it's, it's really pretty and everything else. So, well, it was surprisingly, because it was afternoon, people are already down at the beaches. I don't know, but it took us really maybe 5 minutes longer than it would have in the middle of winter. So we had a really easy drive down there. As usual, the food was delicious. They're wonderful down there. If you like Thai food, Thai Ocha in Ocean City, Maryland. And if you're a vegan like me, they have a separate vegan menu where everything on it is vegan. So it is a great option for those of us who have food limitations, especially down at the beach. That was Saturday. It was lovely. Then Sunday morning, we decided to, maybe before the crowds come, and we said, well, maybe we'll go down to the beach. And down at the beach, before 10 o'clock, parking is free. They start charging at 10 o'clock. So we like to, in the summer, go down before they start to charge. Plus, it's less people, right? And along the way, again, if you are driving through Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, it's a food truck. It's called, I think it's 302 Acai, and they have acai bowls, or they have bowls, because you can do other things, dragon fruit or other things and they have smoothies and stuff. It is the best bowl place, I think, down in Rehoboth area, and there are other ones, but it is phenomenal. It's in a parking lot. There's a big giant liquor store in the parking lot, and it's at the front of the parking lot, food truck. And if you ever get down this way and you like bowls like that, he fills them in. Like, you get your money's worth. The fruit is fresh. Everything is fresh and tasty and whatever. So we grabbed and we got some acai bowls, and then we went down to the beach, sat on one of the benches on the boardwalk, and just had our breakfast and enjoyed, the morning kind of thing before 10 o'clock. And then I don't know, we did our own, just 2-person barbecue and just had fun. We really enjoyed. And then, I told you Monday night about the stitching and his pickleball and all that. So it was a very nice weekend. It was a quiet weekend for the most part, but the weather has finally turned. It is finally nice. This week has been just glorious weather. I wish it would be like this all the time. It would be amazing. The temperatures are in the 70s. In the morning, there's like a cool kind of breeze, and the sun is out, so you do have to watch and sunscreen if you're out and about, because the UV numbers are high. But that's the only thing you have to really be aware and alert of. But it's just absolutely phenomenal right now. So I have no idea what our weekend plans might be. I know Mo said this morning, hey, do you want to go get bowls again on Sunday morning and go over to the beach again? So we might do that again. Who knows? So yeah, that's about all that's going on here. We're enjoying the weather. I am starting new PT on Tuesday, so I'll keep you posted. I'm super excited because it's a little bit different than your traditional physical therapy. And so I am really excited to give it a go and see if we can get all of my muscle imbalances worked out and kind of ease all of the chronic pain that I am in. So yeah, that's that for there. So I will be working potentially this summer on getting myself back to full mobility. That's about it. So I hope you are well. I hope you had a fabulous weekend and you've got a good one coming up. Whatever you happen to be doing, I hope you are safe and healthy, and remember to take some time to do something that you really enjoy, because as always, you matter, you are important, and what you want is as important as anything else, because you need to feel good before you can really help others and do things for others. So take that time to do something you really enjoy. Really, just I can't say that enough. I've been there where I've done everything for everybody and put myself last, way last, and it just doesn't feel great. So do it. Do something for yourself each and every day. Okay, until next time, happy stitching.